Hi, this is Jen Ortman from the Ortman Group, and I'm here to tell you how we win multiple offers. So we have 10 points that we like to focus on. The first one would be the closing date. It's very important to have as flexible of a closing date as possible for your sellers. Typically, a lender will need at least 30 days. Some of our lenders, we are able to do a little bit quicker than that, but we'll find out when the seller wants to close, and then as flexible as you can be with that date, we'll help you out. The second one is a rent back option. This is a little bit more confusing, but essentially what you're doing is closing on the house. The seller's then able to get those funds and still live there for a certain period of time that will be decided before the closing and during the offer period. That gives them the extra advantage when they're looking for a house to have the money in hand and not have to write a contingent offer. Some sellers just like a few extra days to be able to move out after the closing. Either way, if you're able to provide this to the seller, then that's going to give you a really big competitive advantage. The third one is the waiver of contingencies. So there's a few contingencies that we have in the offers that we can maybe waive. We could waive financing, which means that you would be able to move forward and pay in cash. That's not going to work for everyone, but we can also waive an inspection. An inspection is something that is tricky, but if you know that the house is ready to go and you're not worried about the inspection, then we can waive that altogether as well. The fourth one is how the sellers evaluate all of the financing options. The more we can put down, the better for you and the better that the seller will see your offer. We never want to ask for closing costs unless you absolutely have to, because the seller will then perceive that your financing might not be as strong as other people. So the goal is really to put down as much as you are comfortable with putting down during the offer process, and that shows the seller that you are a strong buyer. So the fifth one is an appraisal gap. This one's really important and super helpful for the seller because it tells them that you're going to move forward even if the home does not appraise. In this type of environment, there isn't much inventory, there aren't many closings, and appraisers have a hard time actually getting a home to appraise. The lender will want the home to appraise for whatever amount you are actually offering and purchasing it for. If for some reason the house does not appraise for that much, say it appraises $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 under the actual price that you're paying, you have the option to bring that much more to closing to be able to close the home. So when we're doing an appraisal gap, what we're telling the seller is if for some reason the home does not appraise, you are going to bring that extra cash to closing to be able to move forward with your financing. Very important tool that most buyers do offer. It's not for everyone because you actually need to have that extra money, but it's something to keep in mind, and if we can offer, we'll give you a competitive advantage. The sixth one is as-is condition. In this competitive environment, almost everyone is offering as-is. When we say as-is, it just means that you are going to purchase the property as it is currently. You will still do an inspection. You will still have the option to cancel during the inspection period. And in fact, if you find something that's a deal breaker and you want to cancel, we can still go ahead and ask the seller for that item. You're basically just saying that you understand that the house will have small things wrong with it, and you're still going to move forward and not ask the seller for anything except for maybe a big item. The seventh one is earnest money. Earnest money is money that you put down to secure the property once the offer is signed off on. More earnest money you put down, the more the sellers feel that you are a competent buyer and able to secure the property and get financing in the end. The great thing about earnest money is it is money that you get back towards your down payment at closing. And if you put down more earnest money than your down payment, you would get all of it back, including that in the form of a check. So I always say as much earnest money as you can put down makes you look like a very strong buyer, and it's nothing to you because you're getting the money back in the end. The eighth one is the inspection period. Currently, the contract says that the inspection period is 5 business days. What we can do to make our offer more attractive to the sellers is saying that we'll do the inspection in less than 3 days, sometimes even less than that. What that does is give the sellers a peace of mind that moving forward, the whole process will be fairly quick. And if you were to back out or have any issues, then they're going to know about that sooner than later, which is really important. No seller really wants to have the inspection period dragged on very long. The ninth point is the tax prorations. This is also a very confusing item, but essentially the seller is going to give you a credit at closing for unpaid taxes. When we are in Illinois, all of the different counties pay taxes in arrears. So that means that the tax bill that is due currently does not cover all the days that the seller lives in the house. In this instance, the seller needs to pay you for the days they're living in the house, but that they have not paid their county the taxes yet. We always assume that taxes are going to increase as we go along, but in multiple offer situations, it's really important not to take that into account. So typically in a regular market, we would ask for 105 to 110% of the most current tax bill to take into account any tax increases in the future. In the multiple offer situation, we generally keep it at 100% so that you can be the most competitive. The 10th point is really kind of putting your personal spin on why you want the property. Not every listing agent will allow this, but whenever it is allowed, I highly recommend that you put together a letter to the seller talking about why you love the property, how you're going to utilize the property, and how long you'll be there for the future. Sellers always want to know that they are giving the property to a buyer that will love the property, will grow with the property, and will improve the property. So as much as you can put a personal spin on it and really tug at the seller's heart, the better it's going to be for us moving forward. So I hope that was helpful and gave you an idea of how we are working to make sure that our buyers can always secure a house during a multiple offer.